Welcome to Security Boulevard, the cybersecurity podcast from the Futurum Group. Each episode explores a variety of topics within cybersecurity and the technologies that drive it. You can find us on securityboulevard.com, the Security Boulevard YouTube channel, TechStrong TV, and all of your favorite podcast platforms. Before we begin, let's meet the panel for today's episode, starting with Jay.
Hey, Tom. I wish I could wave to you, but I'm driving. I'm kidding. I'm actually not driving. Someone else is driving. But when I'm driving my day job, I'm the Chief Product Officer at NexusTek. I'm really happy to be back again. Is this my third or fourth time? I don't know. Do I get a jacket for the fifth time? These are the interesting questions I want to learn more about.
Hey, Zoë Rose. I am the CSIRT CSIRT Security Operations Development Manager. Yeah, very long title. I'm excited to be back.
That is quite impressive. My title is much, much shorter. But the other person that'll be joining us today is a first-time guest, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Devashri Datta. I am a cybersecurity and open source researcher. That's about it.
That's about it. And Devashri actually reached out to me on LinkedIn to talk about the topic of today's episode. So let's just jump right into it. We have been seeing a lot of interesting things going on in the software development space when it comes to security and how we're handling vulnerabilities and things like that. And you've probably heard the term SBOM before. And that's not something that's going to get you in trouble because it stands for Software Bill of Materials. And it is, if you've ever ordered anything from any site that has components in it, you've seen a hardware bill of materials because it has a graphics card and a tape card and I just betrayed myself for having a card for a tape drive. But there's another aspect to this, which is called VEX. And Devashri, I'm going to let you kind of introduce this because you're the one who wanted to discuss this. What is VEX and why should we be looking at it?
Okay. Directly jumping into VEX, I think we need to give a background. So welcome to the world of the open source and compliance and security. And now it is also the AI world. Now, what sits exactly over there is the SBOM. So SBOMs, what are SBOMs? So I'll give a layman term introduction. The reason is for the audience to understand what is SBOM. Okay. So SBOM is software bill of material. So let's start 15, 20 years back. Let's go back and see what was SBOM and how it evolved over the time. So 15, 10, 20 years ago, SBOM was the software. We started developing software. We never knew that what exactly went into the products. So there was an introduction of SBOM over there. So this is basically, if you understand the package, it is the ingredient list, which contains the package name, the libraries, the version, and the owner of the license. So these are the basic ingredients. So if you go to a grocery shop and you want to see the ingredients, you see what is the ingredients. That's exactly is the SBOM. What is inside your package? So to make it more clearer, the SBOM, I will also give the same example of a food package and the SBOM, how it relates to it, how the evaluation of the food package happened and how the evaluation of the SBOM happens. So that's how the SBOM got introduced. It contains the license owner, it contains the package name, it contains the library, it contains the version. But as the software went into the automated mode or it becomes bigger and bigger, it was very difficult to understand what's the ingredient list because it was too huge. So there was an introduction called as SPDX. So what SPDX made it is made it machine readable and convenient for the readers to understand what's there inside the SBOM. So we introduced the concept of SPDX. That was a real evolution. It's similar thing if you have a barcode in the package, food package is the similar kind of thing. You can read, the readability increases and it is much more faster. Till this time, there was no security inside the SBOM. There was, we didn't include. It went in the CycloDX. OS introduced CycloDX, which introduced the security concept into the SBOM, like the vulnerability scanners and all those things. So now the SBOM has the ingredient list, SBOM has the machine readable from the SPDEX. And now we have the security vulnerabilities. What are there in the SBOMs? So the list is growing, and we are toning ourselves how it is going. But there are still some certain gaps. So we have the security, we have machine readables, but there are still gaps. Like what is then the introduction of the VEX came into the picture. What is VEX? VEX is Vulnerability Exploit Exchange. What is this? We have multiple security vulnerabilities. We have high, medium, low criticality given to it, priority given to it, but and it was a lot of noise. The reason is the vulnerability exists, but does it actually matters to us? Does it actually is in the packaged product which we are shipping? So those all questions came in, and which made a lot of noise. To reduce the noise, the VEX was introduced. It's not only the static thing, but it is also what affects us. This makes it clear. Am I doing okay?
Yeah, this sounds great, and I love the fact that you brought up that what we're doing with VEX is we're identifying the vulnerabilities, but we're also determining how important they are. Because this is actually an episode that we recorded just recently about risk scores and why I think risk scores are kind of garbage, because they don't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Is 78 too high? Is 91 too low? But I love that you're kind of providing context around it. It's like, yes, there is a potential exploit in this that you might run into once every 7 years. But because like that new version of that software doesn't work with the rest of this bill of materials, we can't use it. Is that kind of the idea? Like where this package has to come together and here's the things you need to be aware of in order to be able to run it?
We have it in us in the libraries, but we are not using it. So VEX made it clear. It's there somewhere embedded in the libraries, but we are not using it. So it matters. VEX, now the industry is going towards SBOM VEX introduction because it's reduced a lot of noise. But still, there are still certain gaps in when we say the SBOM. The reason is the certain kind of industries like vehicle, medical devices, and industry control systems. We need safety relevance also to be added there. Why safety relevance? Like let us give an example about low and medium vehicle brakes. So we treat the vehicle brakes for the safety relevance, but when it comes to CVS score and all and the risk rating, we might tell it is a low risk or a medium risk. So we don't treat that much importance, and we treat a highly critical vulnerabilities more importance, though it is present in the system. But for certain industries, safety relevance is more matters are more than any other CVS score. Presently, they are treating equally. But can you imagine driving a car and the brakes break down? That's a major thing, right? Including safety relevance and VEX is very important. And that's what my article or my workflow says, that how we can design a workflow or how we can design a system which will include SBOM. SBOM itself has SPDX or a CycloDX format, which includes security, which includes VEX, and also includes this safety relevance feature. That's the combination of all these things.
To me, what it sounds like is by disclosing this, it allows people that are a little closer to the value part of the chain to make better informed decisions about things like risk, right? Like we know there's a vulnerability, but this package is too important for us. Therefore, we're going to bundle in the fact that there is a risk factor that we need to account for as we deploy this software. Does that sound accurate?
Exactly. So moving from the ingredient list to standardized CycloDX, to the exploitability VEX, to the safety relevance and the life cycle. That's how I can give a certain example with showcase or a case study saying that how presently the industry works. Like say about the Log4j example. It happens in 2021, if I'm not wrong. It's the Log4j one. Yes, 2021. It was a critical vulnerability, and not every industry was using the SBOMs during those days. And still not every industry uses it. So what happened in Log4j, that wasn't the problem with the Log4j. We used to always have these Log4j log files, which was it was common Java library files. So
Mhm.
that the problem was there was no SBOM which says that where actually the problem lies. Do we have the Log4j? Where is it? We wasted a lot of time, if you remember, investigating the developers, the managers, the engineers, the product. What is Log4j? Whether we really have it, because it was embedded much below in 7 to 8 layer, right? The problem was, where is it? The first problem is, do we have Log4j? Where is it? How do we find out? And the simple answer to the question was SBOM. The another thing is, we started patching right and left every Log4j file, which wasn't even necessary. So SBOM gives you a clear pathway to understand whether we have where Log4j is, if there is an incident, where the Log4j is, where do we find, who are the owners, and what exactly matters, what VEX says, what exactly matters to us. Is it we have to scan the whole log file or only the production file? But it happened that we spent the whole December, the holidays went just scanning the files and understanding what Log4j. So
Yeah.
this is a perfect example when it comes to how SBOM can be used, how we can utilize it. Though it is a critical vulnerabilities, it was highly and it was very panicked situation during that time. That's the best example I can quote right now. Presently in the SBOM industry, or presently in the company, we create a lot of SBOMs and we just keep it. It is a process where it is basically coming from the SCAR tools. The SCAR tool scans the source code, it scans the binaries, it scans the container, and it creates SBOM. How SBOM is created? Through the SCAR tool. We create it and we keep it. Nobody takes care of it. If a customer asks for a SBOM, that's when we send it without auditing. If we don't send it without auditing, the customer comes back and say that, oh, we have these are so many vulnerabilities. How do we treat with that? You have so many. So we have to bring the concept of VEX into it, so that the vulnerability, we can say that, oh, even though vulnerability exists in the library, that's not being packed. Even if it doesn't have the safety relevance to it. So we have a couple of answers when we are more prepared with SBOMs.
I was going to say that this is quite attractive to me because obviously I'm not a developer. You don't want me to be. I'm rubbish at development, but I'm in the security operations side. So having insight as to what is set up, what's being used in my environment is critical to me. Even though obviously I'm not the one deploying it. And then from the way that you've defined it, it's you now can tell me what's in place, and then give me the context of. I know this is in place, and I know that this vulnerability is actually exploitable in the context that we have it in, and therefore this is a higher priority versus this one. We have this solution, but it's not actually exploitable in the way we've deployed it. Am I defining that right?
Exactly. That's exactly how it is.
Perfect. Yeah, and then I just recorded a podcast a couple of days ago about made me sound slightly like an idiot. I always feel stupid talking about AI because of like the AI, the magic box, but whatever you want to call it. With the media going now crazy about the new solutions out there, the new AI that's going to solve all of the or find all the vulnerabilities in your environment within seconds, which. Okay, I don't think it's as crazy as that, but whatever. This is really good for maturing your approach to vulnerability management and identifying not just waiting for the 0 days to be published and then checking in your environment you're vulnerable. It's it's already been defined. Well, I mean, it has to be announced still, but then you can respond quite quickly and build an appropriate plan to respond, not run around like your hands run around like a chicken with your head cut off. It's actually we do have an exploitable available thing in place. Therefore, we need to respond within this appropriate time frame. Versus, we're actually not affected, and we can communicate to the appropriate stakeholders to respond that we're good to go.
Yeah, it reduces a lot of noise. It reduces a lots of efforts if we go for a live-based approach. And for certain industry, as I mentioned, like medical or the automotive team, because the automotive cars are there, the safety becomes very critical in those areas. So adding those in the SBOMs, specifically if you have particular clients for the automotive or the medical device or critical tooling, so safety comes first now. So to understand what is SBOM, to how it is machine readable, to whether it is exploitable or not, to the safety relevance. So this all types up to a life cycle, which gives you a summary, like right from the starting, right? If you consider again the food package example, where the farming was done, how is the product, how are we selling, and whom are we selling to the customer? It's like total customer care, if we have to understand that way.
Yeah, it seems like you're also bringing in things like a chain of custody, the attestation of whatever was present at the time. So when you mentioned the healthcare example, that makes me think of healthcare and life sciences. When you mention life sciences, that takes you into the general practice of GXP. And so for each of those GXPs, you'll probably have someone somewhere in the organization, if you're on a clinical trial basis or going to commercialization and growth with a manufactured biological, a large molecule, you're going to have systems. Those systems need to be validated. Those computer system validations, those computer software assurances, all have to be in place. And it sounds like this is a far more robust approach than possibly what's currently the bar for regulatory purposes. So I'm actually curious to see how, from a regulatory perspective, what you've shared today is going to change behaviors. So there'll be those that are probably more progressive and are hip to what you're saying. And then there's those, as you say, you have your pioneers, your settlers, your laggards. There's probably going to be some pain as this concept becomes more part of an industry. And that when you said this notion of medical devices, that's what made me think of life sciences. And when you talked about the driving metaphor and the actual real world driving metaphor of this is going to be a brake system, or this is something that controls a vehicle or a CAN bus system, it reminded me of a certain large software company ending with the word soft that may have had a leader that went on stage long ago and tried to take one of the car manufacturers to task about how if they had done it, cars would be 15 times cheaper and get like 1,000 miles per gallon. But I also think that we would have never put up with Control-Alt-Delete to start our car, or some kind of a progress indicator that never actually matches reality. But wait, I may be describing our new modern plug-in hybrid vehicle, so I digress. So perhaps some truth in there, but increasingly I'm going to see software defining the driver experience or the rider experience or passenger experience. I think that's a natural conclusion. I think steering wheels and gearboxes and people that want to go vroom, 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 that will always be there, but it'll be increasingly niche. Most people just want logistics and transport from point A to point B and to be entertained along the way. So much more software in our future, even when we're in motion.
One other thing you brought up, Jay, kind of talking about this whole idea of being able to collect this data and do attestation and stuff like that, where my mind immediately went kind of to what Devashri was saying was this idea of Log4j was a great example of goodbye Christmas, because we're going to be patching every system that we own. But think about it from a proactive security operations center thing. There's a new vulnerability gets listed with a big CVSS score, and you need to prioritize the people, whether it's an overnight outage or a holiday outage or just a random Tuesday. What if the system was intelligent enough to pull the information from the SBOM and the VEX to know which systems had affected software and prioritize them based on something as simple as, these 8 glucose monitors are currently not in use. So you go patch them now, and then you rotate out, and then you patch these other ones. And now here are all of your affected systems that you have patched, and you click the boxes to say that you've done that. Now here are the other systems that you should be looking at because they could potentially be impacted, but they're not right now. That allows you to deploy either maximum force to get things done quickly, or minimum necessary resources to accomplish the task in whatever reasonable time that you have. And that to me is the value, because like, think about all the time that you burn with resources researching this. How many systems are affected? Where are they? How am I going to do this? I need to put a plan into action, versus having the system tell you it's going to take 4 people 6 hours to do all of this. And here's where you need to start, and here's where you need to finish.
But also importantly, there's 2 things there. One, it's not always my team that's deploying any patches. So I then have to contact the people and say, you need to do this in this time frame, right? And then the other thing is stakeholder management. That is a key part of my role, because I'm security. And if they come to me and say, oh, what about this new thing? And I'm like, oh, bloody hell, I haven't read that email yet. That looks really bad. Versus me saying, actually, this is our plan to respond. And if for some reason we have clients reaching out to us because they say, oh, what about this? Are we vulnerable in our system that you manage? Then we can respond back to them. Yes, you are. Or no, you're not. And this is the response. This is the actions that need to take place. Or we're not vulnerable at all, because that looks a lot better than let me get back to you.
Well, you're in a system too. The organization itself is a system. And in my experience, and I think everyone here probably has their perspective on this, that left hand knows what the right hand is doing, knows where the left foot is versus what someone had for lunch that day. And so the spatial and temporal elements of the organization, the team topologies of the organization, are also something we'll have to contend with. So Tom, I think you talked about how it could prioritize. It might help us emphasize what's timely, meaning what's the most urgent, do the most needful thing first. But there's probably wider implications for other parts of the system. So you may not have a primary dependency for your team A, Tom, but Zoë may have for team B. And so that's where I was thinking in terms of who gets to go first and what is the organizational prioritization versus just my team's prioritization.
I like this. And I think that, Devashri, you have done a lot of excellent work on this, just getting it to the point where it's machine readable and digestible in a spot where we don't have to guess anymore. But I'm guessing this isn't easy work, is it? I'm sure that there's a lot that goes into this. And maybe one of the things that we can kind of help do here at Security Boulevard is maybe ask the question, what can we be doing to help you?
Presently, the SBOM is designed and kept as it is. Most of the thing, if we align to an example, like we have printed the evacuation fire plant, we have framed it nicely. But when exactly there is a problem, there is a fire, we don't know where is the exit, or we don't know where is the fire extinguisher. That's exactly the industry is coming from, right? We have everything, we have designed it, we have framed it, kept it, but when exactly the risk comes into it, we don't know where is it. We don't know where to exit. We don't know how to operate. So that's the core point of bringing a life cycle based, framework where we have everything in place, embedded in the CI/CD pipeline, and understand how that can be done. Because SBOM is basically created during the release phase. Like the scanning is done, and SBOM is, because we have to ship the product, there is a checklist from the client before the release that we have to provide SBOM. We have to provide third-party notices report, the license report, and that's just a check in the box. So without doing a check in the box, I want it to be practically implemented. We check it every now and then. We have a live-based approach. The AI tools are too helpful now to embed everything in the CI/CD pipeline and make it practical. That's how it is.
So you made me think of something when you described it that way. I'm going back to the car again because I just recently had one of those mystical alerts where it just shows engine light. Okay, I have engine light. What does engine light mean? And so from your perspective, if I had VEX in the car, it would actually say, "Hi, Jay," because it's personalized. It's a computer now, and it would let me know, "Don't worry, nothing particularly to worry about right now, but I've already scheduled you for maintenance at your local dealer. How's Thursday at 2 p.m.?" And it doesn't need to tell me that my wheels are about to fall off. It just tells me that within the range of time, I just need to get it suited. The other possibility, it gives me another alert. It says, "Jay, not to alarm you, but could you please pull over and stop the vehicle and then I'm going to call you, a ride transit to take you away safely. But your car is not something you want to continue to drive for the next 5 minutes. So pull over. And so that's I think where VEX might appear in that same modality of a motor vehicle. But I don't know that we've seen anyone envision that today. But you got me thinking about it, and I hope what you've described is going to get the rest of the industry thinking about this. So, to Tom's point, I intend to name drop you and VEX often and early in all my future conversations. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Zoe, what about you? What do you think about this?
No, I mean, I'm security operations, so anytime I can get more insight into something, I'm all for it, especially if it's going to do part of my job for me, which is prioritization and understanding the broader context of the organization. So 100% I agree. Like, the more we can mature this, the better, because I remember when Log4j happened and I was like, oh, maybe organizations are going to learn from this and implement a way to respond properly. And then more things happened. And I'm like, where is the lessons learned, guys? Or girls? So yeah, I'm pro this. And I think it would be really cool to see. I'm hoping this plus what's going on with the offensive side should either get people excited to get more insight or push them because it has to happen or they're going to become no longer relevant. So I'm looking forward to where things go.
I will say this, sometime kind of going, Devashri, to your point of you need to have some kind of a predictability about where people need to go to find this information. A lot of people tend to think on the side of junior staff that don't know where to go. I think on the side of expert staff that have outsmarted themselves. And a very quick aside, you know how in the kitchen they say you're supposed to use baking soda to put out any kind of small fire because water can impact certain kinds of things. Years and years and years ago, I thought I would be smart by putting the baking soda closer to the stove in case a fire came up. And then one did when I was there with my wife. And when she asked me where the baking soda was, I panicked because I immediately went and looked in the refrigerator, which is where we keep it for deodorizing purposes. No, I had put it directly over the stove, where the fires would happen and where the fire was currently impeding me from getting to the baking soda. So sometimes having a system in place that tells people exactly go to this spot and look for this thing comes in really handy, kind of to your point of where are the fire extinguishers? Well, they're on the map. Well, what if the map popped up and said, there's a fire in this stairwell, go over into this room and grab that fire extinguisher? That helps a lot because it takes all the guesswork out of it. And in security, especially today with AI assisted vulnerabilities and things like that, minutes can count. So
Exactly.
I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. But Devashri, I just wanted to say again, thank you very much for coming on the podcast and giving us an opportunity to learn about this. If people want to learn more themselves, if they want to kind of start implementing these things and kind of moving down this path, where is a good place for them to go and learn about some of these resources?
So SBOM is not a new concept. SBOM is being there. It just needs some framing, a better understanding. So learning. So I think when these kind of incidents comes in, that time we start learning things. If something comes, like I gave an example of Log4j. There are a couple of examples. SBOM is already there. It's embedded in the system. The reports are also already coming out from the SCAR tools. There are various tools which provides, and every industry use the SCAR tools. Like we have the popular one is Black Duck, the Palamida or Core Insight. We have Anchor. We have Sneak. So these are the tools which where it's already there. The only thing is you have to understand how to download the report and what to look into those reports and where to look. So we have to train the people. Basically, the learning is a key. At the incident level, it becomes very difficult if something critical comes in, some system breaks in. With AI coming into picture, we also have to see the behavior of it, because AI sometimes it's giving a lot of behavioral trends. We have to understand how it's working through AI as well. We are including the AI tools, but we still don't know because it does a lot of hallucination as well right now. With the AI tools, so hallucination pictures comes into picture. So we have to see how the behavioral, how the trends. We are taking open source very lightly right now. With the AI tools, every developers, every tool, everything is open source right now. How we can see how it is exploited? Is it really exploited or not? How it behaves in our system? Have we already have the patches? So that has to be through, I think, learning and development is first thing for the engineers. Because if I speak to a developer or an engineer, they might not know about the SBOMs. They who are not from the security side of it. So the security team knows. But going down the line, from the developers to the managers, where is it? Because after all, when an incident comes in, a critical one, it's the engineers or the developers who has to patch the system, who has to go and search for it. So it's all about learning and development and developing together, how the behavioral of it.
Jay, if people want to find out a little bit more about what you're working on, where can they go to do that?
The best place is to go to fudge.org, where I blog, I aggregate my content. If you're a part of the Fediverse, go to Cuthrell.com. And other than that, I'll be at the Click Connect here in lovely Orlando, taking advantage of the AI stories from last year that have become real for this year's conference. So I'm looking forward to hearing that, as well as those VEX concepts around, if you do find a problem, do we know that the temperature is low on the LLM, so it's not going to hallucinate and tell you about 15 other problems that you actually don't have and would go chasing your tail on. So these AI tools really need to be crisp, clear, and concise. So looking forward to that.
Awesome. And Zoe, if people want to check out some of the stuff you've been working on, where can they go to learn that?
Good question. I guess they can look it up. I don't know. They can look at me on my website. But I'm not super active at social media at the moment. I've taken a little bit of a break, so I've turned notifications off. So if you want to reach out to me, bother Tom. He'll let me know.
Absolutely. I know how to get a hold of Zoe and Jay and a lot of other great people out there. And the best place you can do that is on LinkedIn. Just look for Networking Nerd, but also look for Tech Field Day, because we have a lot of great content coming up this month, including, as Jay mentioned, check out the videos from Click Connect. Check out Security Field Day, which is coming up at the end of the month. Also Mobility Field Day, AI Field Day, Tech Field Day Extra at Cisco Live. Literally just go to techfieldday.com. And while you're there, check out the new coat of paint, because things are looking very, very nice. And we'd love to hear what you have to say about it. We also want to thank you for listening to this episode of Security Boulevard Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, do us a favor, subscribe on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app, because we don't want you to miss any of the episodes. We would also really like it if you'd leave us a rating and a review, because people read those, and that's how we reach a new audience. This podcast is brought to you by SecurityBoulevard.com and the Futurum Group. If you want to check out show notes and see episodes, check out SecurityBoulevard.com, the TechStrong TV website, or the TechStrong TV app, which now pretty much runs on anything that has a processor. Follow Security Boulevard on X, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Look for SecurityBLVD for more content, and we will see you all next week.